From just a few miles outside our nation's capital, it is Week 5 in the NFL, and the Kansas City Chiefs are here to do battle with the Washington football team. I'm Cory Puffett. Thank you so much for joining me today for what we hope will be another exciting matchup. Washington lost here at home last week to the New Orleans Saints in a very high-scoring overtime affair despite their defense featuring NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Montez Sweat. More on him later. The Chiefs, meanwhile, lost their own overtime contest to the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 5 despite some solid defensive efforts of their own, which included 4 team sacks and an additional 6 tackles for losses. Kansas City sits at 1-3 in Matt Hedrick's first year at the helm following Andy Reid's retirement, and they hope the return of superstar tight end Travis Kelce will help them to get back on track. He suffered a dislocated knee in Week 2 and finally made it back to the practice field this week. Washington's own superstar pass catcher Terry McLaurin is doing big things in his third year out of Ohio State. He's the league leader in touchdown receptions entering Week 5 with 6 already on the year. It's on pace to break Randy Moss's record of 23 set back in 2007. Washington yet to receive an opening kickoff this season. Patrick Mahomes leads his Chiefs onto the field. He's had a solid season despite his team's losing record, but 6 touchdowns in 4 games certainly isn't what we've come to expect from the 2-time Super Bowl starting quarterback. The first play of the game will drop him from 6 touchdowns per interception to 3, targeting Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the backfield, but it's wide of the mark and there's nobody in position to stop Kendall Fuller from taking this back to the house. For the second week in a row, Washington's defense is forced a turnover on their opening drive of the game, and for the first time all season, Washington starts the scoring with a touchdown. Fuller in the right place at the right time, and that was 6 as soon as he caught it. Mahomes retakes the field, and not to worry, he'd balanced the early mistake with plenty of Mahomesian plays. On first down, he's rolling out right, throws back across the field to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 19 yards. It's hard to be stunned by anything this guy does anymore, but it's still amazing how he knows exactly where all 22 guys are on the field at all time. A couple of plays later, 2nd and 7, that's Kelce catching the quick throw and taking it for first down yardage. On the next play, Mahomes puts this one over the head of Cole Holcomb, hits McCole Hardman in stride for 22 yards. And then a play later, Mahomes spins out of the pocket, throws away from his body to Kelce, and poor tackling allows him to find the end zone in his first quarterback in action. See on the replay, he spun off Ronald Darby's hit, and then Cameron Curl just not offering any assistance at all. So Taylor Heineke finally gets onto the field. We're less than 3 minutes into the first quarter, but 14 points have already been scored. He'd love to see his season touchdowns outnumber his interceptions by the end of today. He'll come out firing, finding Logan Thomas for 13 yards on the first play. Washington would pick up another 13 on the next play with Antonio Gibson, thanks to great blocking up front and no shallow coverage to the left of the line. Logan Thomas picks up another 9 yards here. Gibson would move the chains, and then on 2nd and 11, here's Gibson taking a screen with space. Cuts that upfield, a nice juke, allows him to pick up more yards down near the red zone. Washington had to take a timeout due to some confusion over the play call, but facing 2nd and 8 a couple plays later, there's Antonio Brown in the curl down to the 12-yard line. From there, Antonio Gibson took this handoff halfway home. And then on the next play, see the throw, a little bit low, but it's no trouble for Terry McLaurin to go down for his 7th touchdown grab of the season. Take another look, McLaurin. He'll drop down to a knee, makes the catch as his momentum takes him into a roll. KC's next drive got off to a good start. Once again, Mahomes doing Mahomes things, throwing across his body and finding Hardman for 9 yards. 2nd and short, Edwards-Helaire has a hole, and he'll move the chains. There's no easing Kelce back into action. This time Mahomes is running left, throwing away from his momentum. The tight end muscles out of one tackle, bounces off a hit by Holcomb, and Collins picks up 15 yards. Get a second look at that play. Just bouncing right off the tackle. Washington forced a 3rd and 3. Neither receiver is ready on the shallow crossing route, and Hardman's got the same glitch Gibson had in the preseason against the Rams. In any case, Harrison Butker is on, but this kick from 56 is pulled too far to the left. Distance was maybe a little questionable too, as you'll see on this replay. Coach Hedrick is disappointed with that, and now we get a look at Antonio Gibson's season number as Washington comes back on the field with excellent field position. They'll pick up a 1st down on this 2nd and 8 throw to Logan Thomas. But on another 2nd and 8, Derek Noddy breaks through the line working against Filer and has Gibson for a 2-yard loss, and that would take us to the end of the 1st quarter.
That's the end of the 1st quarter with the Washington 14, Chiefs 7.
Facing 3rd and 10 to begin the 2nd, Terry McLaurin is working the out route. Heineke almost sneaks this one to him, but Rashad Fenton has tight coverage. Washington was forced to punt. They'd only pick up 21 yards of field position, though, as Tressway sent his punt through the end zone and the Chiefs retook the field. Washington forced a quick 3rd and 3, and while they didn't really bite on the play action, not enough intermediate coverage, and Kelsey takes this very short pass and turns it into a 21-yard pickup near midfield. Cameron Curl is the defender in the area, but he's playing double duty instead of focusing on Kelsey and letting Holcomb worry about Hardman. Speaking of Mecole Hardman, more play action on the next play, and there is Hardman flashing across the middle and picking up 28 yards. We'll get a look at one of number 15's more standard throws of the game here. Hardman with a nice gain right up the middle of the field. Washington tightened up from there and forced a 3rd and 3. Mahomes just a bit off target for Kelsey, maybe some inadvertent contact on the route, and Butker came on, easily pushed this one through the uprights to cut Washington's lead to 4.
Makes this Washington 14, Chiefs 10.
A couple of plays into the next drive, at 2nd and 6, Heineke buys some time in the pocket for McLaurin to come free for 20 yards. Next play will net another 20 yards with Gibson shaking free on this angle route. A few plays later, KC's forced 3rd and 3. There's that same low throw on the slant that got McLaurin into the end zone earlier. This one to move into the red zone. Another 3rd and 3, this time inside the 10, and Heineke probably shouldn't even attempted this. As it was, impressive that McLaurin even got his hands on it, and Dustin Hopkins came on to push this back out to a touchdown lead.
Makes this Washington 17, Chiefs 10.
As Kansas City retakes the field, despite the 7-point deficit, it's montage time thanks to a big first half so far for Travis Kelce. First, the touchdown reception in the 1st quarter, bouncing off Darby's tackle, and then his 21-yard catch and run from the last drive. On a 2nd and 7, Clyde Edwards-Helaire takes the handoff, and not only will he get up near the marker, but somehow he keeps himself up long enough to cross it and move the chains. Next play, the former Titan, Anthony Ferkser, on a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. He gets involved with his first catch of the day. A 2nd and 9, we haven't gotten a chance to talk about him yet, but here's their rookie wide receiver, Tremont Matlock. Picked up 8 there, and then on 3rd and 1, he's got space. He's going to run under this on the corner route for 33 yards. A Notre Dame product, Matlock was their 4th-round pick in this year's draft, and he's already got 2 100-yard games on the season, including last week when he went 6 for 105 and a touchdown. Here, he just outran Griffin to the sideline. On 1st down now in the red zone play action, nothing's opening up, and Mahomes spins out of the pocket, and he's going to pick up 5 before sliding down. Next play, coming out of the 2-minute warning, Mahomes on the run again, and this time he's got the rookie Matlock for about another 5 yards. See right there? He ends up just short of the stick, so now 3rd and less than a yard. But nothing is open, and Mahomes doesn't have space to move. Jalen Reeves-Maybin comes in and will split credit for that sack with Shaquem Griffin. Washington called a timeout, so no replay on that one, but Kansas City forced once again to settle for a field goal by Harrison Butker.
Is good. Makes this Washington 17, Chiefs 13.
Washington takes over with less than 90 seconds to work, yet Madden still thinks it important to point out numbers that are unlikely to change before halftime. Gibson's rushing numbers certainly won't change on this play. Washington's in the empty set, and McLaurin won't haul this one in thanks to the contact by Rashad Fenton. Play later though, and McLaurin beats Fenton off the line, and Heineke finds him over the top for 31 yards. He'll take a moment to celebrate before noticing his offense is hurrying back to the line. This next play goes for 9 yards to Logan Thomas. And then he'll pick up the next 9 yards a couple plays later on 3rd and 1. Trying to save that last timeout, Gibson heads out on the screen. Heineke finds him, but Alex Singleton is able to take him down for a 5-yard loss. Washington takes their final timeout. And Dustin Hopkins comes in to once again make this a 7-point game as we enter the intermission. All in all, a compelling first half of action. Washington's defense bending but not breaking, as indicated by the first half stats you get a chance to see on your screen right here, while their offense is certainly moving the ball better than they have in any of their previous 4 first halves. Looking around the rest of the league at halftime, we'll get some updates on most of these later, but P.J. Walker keeping Carolina competitive in Tampa Bay, but Mike Evans had a strong first half of 50 receiving yards and a touchdown. In New Orleans, Cam Newton is having another big day with 2 first-half touchdown passes. Some odd-looking numbers on the New Orleans side, but they're within 10 points late in second quarter action. And up in Baltimore, Maryland, it's a battle between the Ravens and the Dolphins. James Conner has 2 touchdown runs in the first half as he and Tua do what they can to outduel Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins. In our game, the difference remains Kendall Fuller's pick 6 on the first play from scrimmage, and we prepare for second half action. Right into second half action, Washington already facing a familiar down and distance. By the time McLaurin gets some space on the slant, Heineke's already tucked the ball away, and he's late hitting that hole. Chris Jones broke off his block. You'll see on the replay, Jones slowed Heineke down, and then Frank Clark came in to clean up the play. So it's 3-and-out for Washington, but they get the ball back quickly, thanks in part to Montez Sweat, who got to Mahomes on this 2nd and 11 play, not giving Mahomes a chance to improvise until the coverage broke down. Kansas City would pick up 10 yards with Tajay Sharp on the next play, but not nearly enough to move the chains. So Washington back with the ball. McLaurin moved the sticks once on this bubble screen. And then Gibson followed that with a 5-yard run. Nice jump cut in there. But a pair of incompletions, including this one intended for Logan Thomas, sent the ball back to the Chiefs. So back came Patrick Mahomes. 2 second-half possessions for Washington haven't extended the lead, and you know Mahomes never stays quiet for long. The Chiefs moved the ball methodically on this drive, beginning with a 6-yard pass to Kelsey on the out route that took him out of bounds. Then Mahomes finds Matlock to move the chains. Then, right back to the air, Mahomes, he's got Tyreek Hill for 16 yards. And yes, that graphic is correct. That's Hill's first catch of the day. Washington's defense doing a great job against him, but not there. After a 3-yard pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire on first down, Hardman moved the chains, working against Kendall Fuller on the curl. From there, Mahomes goes back to Matlock on the quick throw. Nice spin to get past the marker. And Cameron Curl having a bit of a rough day. Then, Clyde Edwards-Helaire's number is called. He pushes through contact to pick up 7. Kelsey has another 7 here, down inside the 20. Then Mahomes finds Hardman. And Cole Holcomb also having a rough game. He allows the receiver to work this inside the 5, where the second-year pro out of LSU is called on once again, and he'll steamroll both Holcomb and Curl en route to tying this game up at 20. Edwards-Helaire waves to the crowd. Looks like a few fans up there may be rooting for the Chiefs in this one. And we'll get another look at that run. Gotta love those Madden animations. As Washington comes back out, Gibson is a carry away from his 100th of the season. You see his average hovering just under the 4 yards per carry threshold. Not great. He wouldn't be getting that 100th carry to start the drive, though. Out of the empty set, Heineke's got Logan Thomas underneath for 13. Then, here is Gibson's 100th carry. Has space to pick up 6, but it's well covered beyond that. That brings up 2nd and 4, and Heinicke facing pressure, sees McLaurin with a step on his defender, but this one is a little wide of the mark, and the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, right there to pick it off. Nearly 3/4 of mistake-free football by Heinicke, but that is his 11th interception thrown of the year, and it goes to the man who inked a 5-year extension back in Week 3 worth $70 million. You can see on the release, a little too much air on this one. If anything, this was one Heinicke should have made McLaurin hit the turf for. That'd bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the Chiefs' offense back out. Barely over 3 yards per carry on the day, but he did have that game-tying touchdown on the last drive, and Kansas City has a chance to take the lead now. They'll fake the give on 1st down, and Mahomes has time for Tyreek Hill to break free over the middle for 18 yards. Great blocking up front and plenty of time for Mahomes. Of note, tackles Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz have each signed 2-year extensions with the team over the course of the past 3 weeks. A play later, clock almost down to 0 in the quarter, Mahomes gets it off. Holcomb late breaking to the deep pivot route, and Hill now has his 3rd catch of the quarter. And we enter the final frame, deadlocked at 20, but with Kansas City on the move. First play of the 4th quarter, Mahomes has Kelsey for 5 yards and a 1st down. On the next play, Mahomes is back, and he's got to escape the pocket, and all he can do is throw this one away as Montez Sweat nearly reached him for another sack. On 2nd down, Mahomes has Kelsey for 7 yards, and then on 3rd and 3, he's targeting Kelsey again. Looks like he's got it, but Landon Collins is there to make the hit and jar the ball free. We'll take a quick second look. Kelsey tucking the ball away. Collins knocks it loose. Harrison Butker on to try for 39 yards away, and he's got this one right down the middle. Kansas City leads 23-20 early in the 4th quarter.
Chiefs 23, Washington 20.
It's Washington's first deficit of the day, and after throwing his first pick of the day, Heinicke knows he needs to find a way to make up for it. On 2nd and 10, the Chiefs send a heavy blitz, but Washington's got the well-timed screen queued up. Gibson turns upfield and should have had the 1st down, but got hung up on his blockers. No matter. He's got enough for the 1st down here on 3rd and short. On 1st and 10, a lot of deep routes, and Heinicke is a little late seeing the space Antonio Brown has under the secondary. One's nearly deflected, but somehow AB pulled that one in. Get a couple more angles of that one and just how close L'Jarius Sneed came to maybe even picking that off and housing it. Instead, it went for a big gain, and on the next play, Heinicke's got Logan Thomas for 9 yards. Gibson would move the chains again here, but Frank Clark injured away from the play. They called this one a shoulder strain. Thankfully, nothing serious, but he'd miss the rest of the game as you see him working with the trainers on the sideline. First play out of the injury timeout, Washington is going screen again, and this time Gibson splits his blockers, breaks a tackle, and he has another 1st down. A couple plays later, 2nd and 4, there's Logan Thomas again on the shallow crossing route to pick up 9 yards. And 1st and goal, Gibson, little deja vu, takes this halfway, and then more deja vu on 2nd down. There he is again with touchdown catch number 8 of the year. McLaurin says that one is a home run, and we take another look at the end of a fantastic drive put together by Taylor Heinicke and the Washington offense to retake the lead. We'll show you the PAT here, and it's good to make it a 4-point game, but Frank Clark's replacement, Michael Dana, is now injured as well. He'd also missed the rest of the game with a bruised elbow. Both defensive ends should be back in action next week. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes chomping at the bit, ready to retake the field and try to lead another scoring drive. Lots of time here for Mahomes to sit in the pocket, and that's a great start. Tajay Sharp breaks free, makes the catch, cuts upfield for 25 yards. Next play, inside of 6 minutes now, Mahomes tosses it up for Travis Kelce. He grabs it, and how did he do that? Collins hit him from the front. Chase Young hit him from the back, and Kelsey came out still on his feet, raced all the way to the end zone. Kelsey has matched McLaurin with 2 touchdowns today now. Coach Hedrick loves it on the sideline. And here is your replay. Mahomes tosses it up. Kelsey makes the catch and just steps through the tackles and gets right back up to speed before Holcomb could get to him. Bad news for Washington. Even without their 2 right defensive ends, Kansas City is forced to 3rd and 4. Heineke threw this one out to McLaurin, and it looks like he might have pulled that down, but they're saying incomplete. Fenton had the tight coverage on the play, and we'll see on the replay right here, McLaurin going up for it, and he got his hands on it, but couldn't complete the process of the catch. Trailing by 3 with 5 minutes left, Washington has to punt, and Way actually did a really nice job to pin them back here, down near their own 20-yard line.
The Chiefs take over 1st and 10 at their own 22-yard.
Travis Kelce and company pumping themselves up as they look to salt this one away, and you see Mahomes well over 400 passing yards on the day. First play of the drive, Washington tells KC they want the ball back, stopping Edwards-Helaire after just a yard. Second play of the drive, Kansas City says no way. We've seen this throughout the game. Mahomes spins out and throws away from his body, hitting Hardman in stride for 41 yards. Fuller's there to make the tackle, but that is a big play for KC and a big letdown for Washington. Washington forced a 3rd and 2 and did a great job of stuffing the hole CEH was supposed to run through, but the youngster cuts it back to the right and has plenty of space for 13 yards inside the 15. Seeing time remaining, Washington called a timeout here, hoping to save as much clock as possible and use the 2-minute warning effectively. On 1st down, Mahomes with a shallow drop in the pocket, and that's too shallow. Matt Ioannidis gets home and takes him down. Washington calls another timeout there. And coming out of that, 2nd and 14, Edwards-Helaire hasn't had much room all game, but now he's got another carry for double-digit yards. And here, Washington allowed the clock to wind to the 2-minute warning. So 3rd and 4 now, Mahomes sends Hardman in motion, takes the snap, and he hits Edwards-Helaire in the flat for a 1st down. Lucky for Washington, his momentum carried him out of bounds. 1st and goal now, CEH with another touch, and here there's just nothing out there for him. Cole Holcomb finally gets highlighted for something good as he drops the Kansas City running back for a 3-yard loss. Get a quick look at part of that replay as Washington took their final timeout here. 2nd and goal now. Another run by Edwards-Helaire, and this time he'll pick up a yard before he's met by Collins and Holcomb. Clock runs. It's 3rd and goal. And here's a name we don't get to say much. The backup safety, Jeremy Reeves, is in to stop Edwards-Helaire for no gain. He's pumped up, and we'll get another look at the stellar play by the 4th-year man out of South Alabama. So Harrison Butker is on, and he makes this a 6-point game. There isn't much hope, but 25 seconds is not nothing, even with no timeouts.
Washington 27.
We'll jump right in. 1st down, Heineke back, looking toward the sideline, but this one just floats out, and it's lucky the ball hit the turf incomplete. 2nd and 10 now, Heineke back, but there's Chris Jones quickly off his block, and he reached the quarterback. Washington ran to the line, but there's not enough time to get another play off. This game is over, and Washington has lost a heartbreaker. Taylor Heineke played one of his best games of the season. He certainly was more efficient than he'd been prior, completing 27 of 40 passes today, but Patrick Mahomes was better, and Travis Kelce was unstoppable. Washington certainly wishes they could have gotten to play this game a week earlier. The Chiefs will be on the road again next week, but on the other side of the country as they travel to SoFi Stadium for a 4:15 meeting with the Chargers and an opportunity to get back to 500. Washington will play their 3rd straight home game, but will look for their 1st home win and 1st division win of the season when they host the winless New York Giants. Cam Newton won AFC Player of the Week honors last week for the 3rd time in 4 weeks. It's the 3rd time he's thrown at least 4 touchdown passes in a game this season. On the NFC side, there were a few good choices, but Aaron Rodgers stood out thanks to his 4 total touchdowns in an overtime win against the Rams. On the defensive side, you saw Montez Sweat in action today, a week after recording a pick six to earn recognition in the NFC, while CJ Mosley was a takeaway machine in Houston. Looking around this week's NFL action, no graphics for this first game, but we begin in Cincinnati, where the Bengals hosted the winless Steelers on Thursday night. Well, winless until that point. It wasn't a particularly close affair. Neither quarterback reached 200 yards, but the Steelers were much more successful on the ground and came away with the win. The Bengals fall to 3-2 with that loss, seeding more in the AFC East after the Baltimore Ravens outlasted Miami. Allen Hurns caught both of Tua Tagovailoa's touchdown passes, and Mark Andrews caught 2 of Lamar Jackson's 3 in the 42-35 shootout. Game 1 without Teddy Bridgewater did not go well for Carolina. Will Grier came on in relief last week, but this week the keys to the offense went to the 2020 XFL star PJ Walker. He had a solid game, throwing a pair of touchdowns to Ryan Anderson and DJ Moore, but the defense couldn't slow down the Bucs as Brady broke the NFL passing yards record and led his guys to a 38-22 win. In a tight contest in Cleveland, Matthew Stafford threw 4 touchdown passes, including 2 to Kenny Golladay. The defense picked off Baker Mayfield once, and that may have just made the difference in a 1-point victory. The Browns hope to get Kareem Hunt back from injury in time for next week's divisional matchup with the Bengals. One of the most anticipated games of the week featured the Patriots and the Saints, 2 high-flying offenses through the first quarter of the season, and they did not disappoint, playing to a 42-41 win in the Saints' favor. Cam Newton continued his terrific season, throwing no picks and bringing his season touchdown total to 18 through the air. Nick Mullins was more efficient with his throws, though, and threw for 1 more touchdown than Newton in the contest. Latavius Murray had a big day with 94 yards on 8 carries, including a 66-yard touchdown run that helped his team overcome a 24-14 halftime deficit. Matt Ryan threw for 329 yards and a trio of touchdowns in Buffalo. Atlanta only scored on a third of their red zone possessions in the game, but still managed to carry a 21-6 lead into the fourth quarter that was too much for Josh Allen and the Bills to overcome. The Falcons keep pace with the Saints in the NFC South at 4-1. Cam Akers had a big day in Minneapolis, running for 100 yards and a touchdown against the Vikings. Pair that with Tyler Higbee's 118 receiving yards and Jared Goff's 3 touchdown passes, and the Rams built up enough of a lead to withstand the Vikings' 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to still win 35-27. The Giants are really missing Saquon Barkley, who they lost to a foot fracture back in Week 2. He's still got a few more weeks before he's expected to see the field, and in the meantime, the Giants haven't put much focus into the run game. Damian Williams scored a touchdown and averaged 9.3 yards per carry this week, but the Giants only ran it with him 7 times. Drew Lock had a big day, though, throwing for 355 yards with 2 touchdowns, and the Broncos avoided turnovers to win big in New York, 30-14. Jonathan Coachman maybe should have directed his disrespect to the Giants rather than Cortland Sutton, considering New York remains winless at 0-5. Jimmy Ward returned a fumble for a touchdown as a part of a 31-13 49ers victory over the Colts in San Francisco. Colin Kaepernick struggled in the second half for Indianapolis, throwing 2 picks to derail Indy's effort to erase a 7-point halftime deficit. Zach Monroe continued his Rookie of the Year bid with a 3-touchdown performance this week against the Texans. James Robinson added 107 yards and a touchdown on the ground, and Jacksonville blew out the home team 42-24. Russell Wilson threw a pair of interceptions as the Titans forced 3 total turnovers. It wasn't enough to win in Seattle, though. Chris Carson ran for a touchdown and averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and Wilson added 3 touchdowns of his own as the Seahawks won 35-32. Penalties were an issue for Tennessee as they racked up 100 penalty yards in their first loss of the season. In the 203rd meeting between NFC North rivals Green Bay and Chicago, Sunday Night Football wasn't a particularly close contest. Defending NFC Offensive Player of the Week Aaron Rodgers may be in line for a repeat after throwing for 345 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mitchell Trubisky avoided turnovers and threw a pair of touchdowns, but he completed less than half of his passes, and Chicago only ran the ball 11 times in total, which didn't give David Montgomery much room to make an impact on the game. Monday Night Football, meanwhile, gave us a much more exciting matchup. Justin Herbert and Derek Carr threw for 350 and 343 yards respectively, and each threw 3 touchdowns with no picks. They also both completed 26 passes, but Carr had 13 more attempts, accounting for the nearly 40-point difference in their passer ratings. Darius Geis had 2 rushing touchdowns, but averaged just 2.5 yards per carry for the Chargers, who are looking forward to getting Austin Eckler back from his dislocated hip, hopefully next week. Josh Jacobs was far more efficient on the ground, but that extra rushing touchdown for Geis flipped the outcome as the Chargers won narrowly in Las Vegas 37-34 to create a 4-way tie in the AFC West, with all 4 teams sitting at 2-3. Adding injury to insult, Will Fuller suffered a broken collarbone and is expected to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks. This has been 2021 NFL Action, brought to you by EA Sports Madden 21. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like below. Comment with any praise, criticism, or trolling you'd like to convey, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you know when future videos are published. I'm Cory Puffett. Thank you so much for watching. Come back next time for Washington's next contest. They'll look to snap this 2-game losing streak in their second divisional game of the season against the winless New York Giants.